The big story this evening, it was Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's first Janata Darbar that he held outside the Delhi Secretariat. An overwhelming crowd response led to chaos, forcing the party to cancel the event altogether. Here's a look at all that happened through this Saturday.
At 9:30 a.m. as the Delhi cabinet opened office on the road outside the Delhi Secretariat to address grievances, there was no sign of the disorder that would follow barely an hour later. A sudden spurt in the number of people who turned up clearly caught the AAP administration unprepared, forcing Kejriwal to abandon his own sabha.
मतलब अगर मैं वहां से नहीं निकलता तो एकदम से वहां स्टैम्पीड होने के चांसेस हो गए थे.
Kejriwal and Sisodia had to appeal from the rooftop to calm people down. Even then, there was no stemming the tide of people who came with documents, banners and posters. And when the promised meeting did not happen, there was hurt, disappointment and anger.
30 तारीख को ये एप्लीकेशन रिसीव कराई है, लेकिन आज तक मेरी कोई सुनवाई नहीं हुई है.
But the few lucky enough to meet the Chief Minister were hopeful.
कोई रोक ना कोई टोक ना कोई प्रॉब्लम, इससे बढ़िया सिस्टम तो और कोई लगा नहीं.
Clearly, the Aam Aadmi Party's government is still not giving up on it. You can see lawyer Somnath Bharti, who is also the law minister, still interacting with people even after the Darbar has been called off for today. But critics aren't convinced.
Many senior police officers, many senior bureaucrats have public hearings. But there's a schedule and there's a method and there's certainly openness about it. But it's not on the streets.
बिल्कुल लगता है कि अंदाजे से ज्यादा लोग आ गए और समस्या उनके अंदाजे से लगता है बड़ी है भी, तो स्वाभाविक रूप से समय लगेगा.
किसी प्रकार के ना इंतजाम थे ना सुनवाई थी और जनता को उसके हाल पर छोड़कर निकल गए.
For now, Kejriwal has suspended Janata Darbars, promising to be back better prepared. With Meenakshi Upreti in New Delhi, Rupashri Nanda.
That brings us to the big question we're asking this evening. Is the Aam Aadmi Party's Janata Darbar a good idea but badly implemented? We're going to talk that through with our guests this evening. Joining us in our studios, Mr. Praveen Singh, Aam Aadmi Party member right here, and also Dr. Sambit Patra, BJP spokesperson, once again in our studios, and also all the way from Chennai is Mr. C.R.Kesavan, the Congress spokesperson. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for being with us here on CNN IBN this evening. First up, I think the first question has to go to you, Mr. Singh. What exactly happened? Would you concede at least, while we're all saying it's a good idea, but would you at least concede that this was not planned in the manner in which it should have been done and there were mistakes that the Aam Aadmi Party made?
Absolutely, and I think even Arvind has gone on record conceding that. We were overwhelmed by the response. This is not a thing that we are doing for the first time. Many chief ministers do something like this. We stand by the idea. I think it is definitely a very much required and good idea. We expected probably 700, 800,000 people who would turn up with really genuine queries which they feel are not getting answered at the lower levels or at the grievance cells of various. But it was absolutely a deluge in that sense. And I think we need to work on that. In that sense, we are new to the game and the process can certainly be improved.
Fair enough. You are facing a lot of these questions. Everyone is looking at you with scrutiny and skepticism. That's something that we need to also take into account. But having said that, you know, a lot of the allegations, you heard the kind of reactions we got from the BJP, from the Congress as well. There's a sense of, you know, this is the kind of the reaction that we'd seen in the run-up to Chief Minister Kejriwal taking over. Some people saying that they're waiting for the Aam Aadmi Party to make these mistakes. The general allegation that will be levelled is that you're a party that's in a hurry. How do you take that?
Well, I think the Chief Minister and the ministers reaching out to a people is something that was clearly part of our agenda. It's not something that ideally requires a few months of being in office. So I don't think this move is something that has got taken in the hurry. We did not anticipate the number that would turn up, and I think that is what we'll sort out over the next few days. It's a logistical process issue which can certainly be put in place.
But the party has always maintained that the Delhi public is very unhappy with the state of affairs so far. So,
Right.
Did you really not anticipate when you're making yourself so accessible in a city that has seen overwhelming response from the public?
Right.
We saw the day when Chief Minister Kejriwal travelled in the metro. I was there. It was unprecedented, the crowd. So, did you really think that they would not turn up in that kind of numbers?
No, but if we would have anticipated, Ashutosh, we would have certainly got the things in place, because this has been, in some ways, has worked out as badly for us as for so many people who were inconvenienced, and fortunately, it's not gone, there's been no injuries or anything. So, if we would have anticipated, we would have had absolutely no reason to plan for it.
Fair enough. All right, let's get in a Congress perspective as well before I come to you, Dr. Patra. Mr. C.R.Kesavan joining us from Chennai. Mr. Kesavan, you will have to admit at least one thing, that the kind of public response that we saw earlier today, that overwhelming response, just goes to show that the public has been so disillusioned with the government that was in power before the Aam Aadmi Party, that there is a need that as soon as you open the gates to accessibility, you get a response like this. So that the part of the blame needs to go to the Congress as well.
Arunadai, to begin with, I think it is very clear, and we accepted that the vote in Delhi was a vote for change, and which is why the Congress party ensured stable government for Delhi by extending support to Mr. Kejriwal's party and ensured that the 2.2 crore good citizens of Delhi have a stable government. Having said that, with respect to the issue which happened today, see, they say you campaign in poetry but you govern in prose. With respect to the Aam Aadmi Party, you're in a phase where they're transitioning from a movement into a political party which is governing the capital of this country. And what you have to keep in mind is there is much difference between activism and administration. I think the onus is now upon the Aam Aadmi Party to understand their priorities as well as distinguish, differentiate, and kind of discern the difference between activism and administration. And more importantly, one point I would like to raise here, it's a moot point, is such tokenism and such playing to the gallery, do they really serve the interests of the people? Do they really solve the problems for which these people were voted for? All the Congress party and the people of Delhi are looking at is the government here should look at the challenges facing the people of Delhi and ensure that a substantial, sustainable and scalable solutions are put forward by this government.
Right. All right, Mr. Kesavan, point taken. Dr. Patra, I'd like to bring you in this at this point. Once again, the allegation is that it's a party that's high on symbolism, less on output, something that you heard the Congress also say. Would you be in agreement to that? I mean, some would say that the BJP perhaps was just waiting for incidents like this to happen, to jump on the Aam Aadmi Party.
No, we're not waiting to jump on anyone. But like we've always maintained that constructive opposition, constructive criticism is always good for the democracy and the health of this country. So a few points, quick points. First and foremost, redressal of problem, no problem. Meeting people, empowering them, no problem. But somewhere down the line, as I've constantly been pointing out, that there is a hurriedness in the air, the hurriedness to project oneself. And I believe it's all about the game of projection. Why? Is it just the Lok Sabha 2014 election? Or there is something beyond that? See, governance is always silence. Silence, performance, it is apparently readable. People will read your governance. You don't have to showcase it. Secondly, and most importantly, in a democratic setup, democracy and governance has its own layers. From talukas to districts to the center, and you cannot ignore the layers in democracy. First and foremost, yes, if you wanted to redress the problem of the people, which rightly people might have been facing, so I believe you would have gone step by step. From the districts, you have seen your impeccable charactered officers placed there, come up with the problems to you, and finally, the ones which fall in the no solution zone should have been taken by none other than the Chief Minister himself. So why this kind of Darbar system? I believe personally that in a democracy, Darbar and Darbari, where you have a feudal lord sitting in a chair and rest of the people appear in front of you in a frenzied Darbari kind of appearance, is regressive.
But that's exactly what he's trying to erase from the existence. That's exactly what the idea is behind. I mean, you're taking the government to the people instead of it being the other way around.
Exactly. Look, if you would have moved in a systematic manner, in the sense that you would have involved every layer of democracy, then the kind of scene that we are witnessing today would not have been seen. You would have had a very thorough, disciplined way in which the Chief Minister and the ministers would have been interacting with the people. But what we saw today was a feudal lord trying to avoid a stampede.
You're calling Arvind Kejriwal a feudal lord even when he's holding, when BJP leaders are not making themselves that accessible?
No, I'm not calling Arvind the feudal lord, but the system which we are witnessing today, we are seeing women crying. I'm seeing almost a near stampede situation, and we are calling these innocent people Darbaris. With due diligence to Aam Aadmi Party, to the novel idea, I wish them all success. But look, the kind of scene that we are witnessing is something democracy should not see. This is a revolution of sorts. It should be silent, it should be governance, it should not be tokenism, and in fact the center should always and always be occupied by governance, nothing else. No symbolism,
Mr.
no
Singh,
tokenism.
would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I'd in fact want to respond to most of the points Mr. Patra has made. The first thing he's saying is symbolism. And I think we've been in power just for 10 or 12 days. So there are some steps you can actually take right off the blocks. Those are the steps that are currently being talked about. So you are seeing them as symbolism, but there's much more under. So I think because they can be taken quickly, they are being taken quickly. You can read it whichever way you. I think it's much beyond symbolism. That's one. The second point he's saying, Darbar, इसको जनता का दरबार बोला गया है. In fact, that is the point that needs to be understood. कि as opposed to दरबार, where the context is there is some raja sitting, इसका अगर आप नाम देखें तो जनता दरबार है, अर्थात यहाँ पर जनता ही राज करेगी, वो उसकी सुनवाई होगी. एक बात. And I think the other point is more important. He says that democracy is layered and issues at the district should be handled at the district, etc. That is the point to be seen. We don't expect people to walk up to the chief minister if their tube light or their street light is not getting repaired. We don't expect the people to walk up to the chief minister just because they had to go twice for their driving license or that their. So the fact that 50,000 people have turned up, it means that is the scale of misgovernance. So people have severe issues, and so many people have severe issues. Our entire layer is not working. All the grievance numbers that we have, the fact that you can go to a superior when somebody lower in the bureaucracy is not working. So it is actually showing the state of affairs, and for that I think it's the other parties that are more responsible than us.
That was my question to the Congress. But won't you at least concede that this is more than a BJP chief minister would have perhaps done? At least you have an image of inaccessibility when you see a Narendra Modi.
I'll come to Mr. Narendra Modi also, but with due diligence to Praveen, he's a learned man. First and foremost, he said that, well, look, there has been misgovernance, which I agree, which we have been fighting against, the misgovernance of Congress for 15 long years. But misgovernance cannot be done away in 10 to 12 days, as he rightly mentioned. So what was the hurry that everything has to be achieved within 10 to 12 days and to buy the airspace and all the media? Look, I always maintain silent governance is innocence. That is what the performance is. Secondly and most importantly, he said it is Janata Darbar. Well, yes, it is Janata Darbar. In a Janata Darbar, the Janta should be seated. All the amenities and facilities should be for the Janta, and the CM should be the one who should be standing and should be addressing as a servant, as the Mukhya Sevak as they previously were demanding. But right now over here, as your channels projected, it is the Janta which is going through all the ruckus, and I'm not going to say them feudal lords, but the few ministers are the one who are seated. Thirdly and most importantly, now coming to the most important core issue, you have somehow tried to bring in Mr. Narendra Modi. Let me tell you that the United Nations and the government of India has awarded him and his government in Gujarat for the Swagat system of the public redressal system in Gujarat. It is one of the most impeccable system, the way in which the Swagat system, that is the statewide attention on grievance by application of technology. It is a layered system. The talukas, the districts, and then the system comes in. And the
but then he's also been around for much longer as well.
Yes, it is working since 2003. Now the internet has come into play.
Right.
Every person in the state has a right to reach to the chief minister, but through the layers. And the United Nations itself has taken a note of this, has been awarding the state since long.
Right.
So I believe we have to learn through time.
So I think the question is for time that we need to give. All right, let me just once again go across to Mr. Kesavan, still with us from Chennai. Mr. Kesavan, the question is, it comes down a lot of the times to say that this is a party that's in a hurry, but it's significant, isn't it? Because if they don't deliver, you'll say they're not delivering on their promises, and if they do deliver, then you'll say it's a party in a hurry. So it's a catch-22 situation, isn't it?
No, Arunodhay, before I start off on this point, I just want to say that to my BJP friend with respect to Narendra Modi ji, when you talk about governance, I don't want to digress, but just to make a point, because since you brought Mr. Modi up, as the latest September 16th, the two-bench court of Gujarat has said 90% of the roads in Ahmedabad are not functioning. So that's that much for his, development plan and growth plan. And I don't think BJP should have a feeling of sour grapes when it comes to Delhi. The Aam Aadmi Party has come from the government very early. Let's see how they perform and what they do. But coming back to this issue, I want to raise one moot point here. One pattern which has been emerging in the last 15 days is that this government is not thinking things through enough. You take the issue of Mr. Kejriwal's decision to accept the 5-bedroom flat. Then the next day he went back. Then the issue of Kashmir, when Mr. Prashant Bhushan made a statement and Mr. Kejriwal kind of, made a contradictory claim, and today they take a decision to go to the Darbar and then, they go back on it. The issue I feel on it's not, you said deeming threat. No, I want to give it as a constructive criticism. You should think things through, deliberate, consider, and then do things, so that these flip-flops don't cost you in the long run, because such inconsistencies will erode the faith in which, that's very important. So I think the flip-flop should be avoided. Involve people in a dialogue, think things through and do it.
So, all right. I'll just come to you, Dr. Pradhan.
Just Mr. Narendra Modi, I'll just take a second. Kesavan is a fantastic young man.
Let's not center it around Narendra Modi.
No, not at all. Since he advised me something, I'll just advise him back. Look, I believe with Mr. Rahul Gandhi's image taken an irrevocable dent and dentsu being brought in, Congress should refrain commenting on Narendra Modi, because he's synonymous to development. This is known to India.
All right. We'll let the Rahul versus Modi battle, just take a break for today at least, because the topic is something else tonight. But Mr. Singh, there's also the other example of, today we were hearing that the Aam Aadmi Party government has also waived off the defaulters in the electricity bills for the past 10 months. Yes. This is another example, as Mr. Kesavan was pointing out. These are examples that will be taken as, it's a government that is on a trial and error basis. I mean, fine, it's your first stint in power, but there is immense expectation on you. I mean, is this the right way to go about things? Trial and error about everything? I mean, some people would say this is in violation of certain legal acts.
No, I would buy Mr. Kesavan's point in the sense that we need to think through things. Yes, and it's not that we are not doing because we are new. There are some things that happen for any government. I think there's a lot of media glare being in Delhi and being the kind of phenomena that we are. I'm sure that if any new state government was followed like this for the first 10-15 days of its tenure, many such things would happen. So it's not that unusual. On the electricity issue, like we said, this was part of our manifesto. We took it as a civil disobedience movement. We felt that despite people's asking for an audit of these private companies and outrageous rates on the electricity bill for over the last 3 or 4 years. So this is not something we've done out of the blue. It's part of our manifesto. We've been saying this in March 2013. As a political party, we had said that because we believe this is something unfair, people should go against it, and if we come to power, we will waive the bill. So I think we've just gone by what we said.
All right, we're drawing to a close, so I just want to get 3 final comments from all of you. Mr. Singh, I'll begin with you once again. How would you then make it better the next time? Because the public today was angry, the public was disappointed because they came from far away and they came with a lot of expectations. So how would you make this better next time? Very quickly.
I think that is what the party and people in the bureaucracy are going to sit over the next few days and decide. I'm sure various ways can be done. Maybe we can do it by constituency, maybe we can do it by issues, maybe there can be some filtering process or even some kind of token handing so that we can make sure about 200, 300 people, which is what a person sitting for an hour and a half can handle. So I'm sure we'll sort that out. It's not the first time we are dealing with an issue of this kind.
All right. Yeah. All right. Dr. Patra, many are accusing the Aam Aadmi Party of going overboard with populist measures as well. But the point is, they still have the public support. They're still saying, look, this is the Chief Minister who's bringing the government to us. We have access towards him. He doesn't have Z plus security. He's denying, these kind of suggestions. So, it's still the people are still favoring the Aam Aadmi Party. You'll have to concede that, isn't it?
Still favoring. I may not favor, but the issue is today is Saturday. It's a weekend. Indians love movie, But ironically, if everything becomes cinematic, romantic, and theatrics, it would appeal in the first half alone. In the next half, it has to be governance, it has to be delivery, and people of India are smart enough to see through all this.
And I think the Aam Aadmi Party would say that picture abhi baki hai to that. I don't think it's over yet. But
I would say that people have begun to see through the previous movies or whatever. So,
all right. One final comment from the Congress, Mr. Kesavan. I'll let you have that. Mr. Kesavan, you're with the Aam Aadmi Party and the government here in Delhi. What would your word of advice be? Because a lot of I'll end with the question I asked you in the beginning, because this public grievance that you're seeing today is because of what the Congress Party, what your party did for the past 10 years.
Now you're looking towards the future. We're looking ahead. The question here is very simple. People are going to judge you. The Congress is supporting you, and the people of Delhi are looking at you. They're going to judge this Kejriwal's party by performance and not by publicity. And I hope that they do come forward, think things through and give sustainable, scalable and, substantial solutions to the challenges of Delhi, and so that good governance is given to the people of Delhi.
All right. So it's not just a question of logistics. While it was a good idea, it was a noble initiative, it just needs to be thought through a little more. I'd like to thank all of you today. Mr. Praveen Singh of the Aam Aadmi Party, Dr. Sambit Patra, as well as Mr. Kesavan there joining us from all the way in Chennai. Thanks very much for your time here on CNN IBN. We invite your reactions on our website ibnlive.com, because the debate will continue. This is a party that is new to Delhi. It's just about 15 days old, and we'd like to hear from you as well. That's all for the moment. News and updates continue on CNN IBN. Thanks for watching.